Hello.
Hello. How
Welcome,
do you
welcome.
know what? It's such a joy to have you back. But do you know what I liked best about you being gone?
What's that?
It was so not only did you take good care of yourself and you didn't work while you were even stuff you like is work, right? So like, you don't get paid for the boot camp.
I missed
I'd
it.
pay you if I had money. But not only did you rest and take good care of yourself, but you set such a good example for the learners, didn't you?
Well, it's the learners who inspired it, so.
Also, I said I'd get you if you tried to log on while sick.
Well,
I
yeah.
was wondering if, so we're going to dive right into CSS grid. I'm going to start from step 4, so I'm going to copy that in. But I was wondering if I could ask the learners to teach you what you missed. So you probably
Oh,
already know this,
please.
but it's gonna be nice to remind me. Folks who are here today, who are here with us earlier in the week, how would you describe what is a variable? So it could be specifically a CSS variable, or you could talk about variables more broadly.
Yeah.
It's a hard question, isn't it?
I'm
What is a
sad to have missed
variable?
variables. I love CSS variables.
Our variables won't show up ever again. We won't like see them in JavaScript or anything.
We we might a little.
A little. So let's look at what we've got.
Yeah. Oh, and we've got folks in the chat already telling us it's a
Okay, I need a
container.
little bit more than that. A little bit more than that. Sean's saying a container. Oh, heck, we both. So we just got somebody say a container. Oh, and I love this because both of y'all are right, but can you just give me just a little bit more information? So it's and I was just really goofy where I had a little
Oh.
box and put some stickers on it. Said, oh, we can put a value in this so that when we call it again, we get
Mm-hmm.
whatever is called on that. And Eric's gonna skip for it. Okay, it's cheating to use highly technical, very, very correct. And Eric's like,
Piece
it's a
of
piece of
memory.
memory. So it's a remembered object where you could store
Mm-hmm.
information in. Ooh, I love this. And you could change that information later. Can you? So that's very true in CSS. Very true in CSS. You could go in and change your variables all the time. It's not going to break anything. Everything's wrong. Is that true in all programming languages?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, so there's some programming languages where once you set a variable, you
It's
need to
set.
that's it. And you could
Yeah.
go change it in your written code, in your hard code. This is too hard. This is too hard. We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, we're talking about CSS and we're talking about we're doing
Ooh.
some CSS grid today.
Oh no. Oh no. I'm so bad at grid. Let's practice being bad at stuff to show learners it can't hurt you. So
This
we've
is
got our
gonna be great, Jess.
title. We link to our
Yeah,
fonts, our style sheet, a head and a body within our
this one's
heading element. Okay.
this one's exciting because we're also gonna be using what's called a font, of some font icons.
Oof. I'm not gonna
But it's super cool. It's super chill. What are we going to do now?
so we've got a section called heading,
And
and
inside there,
I'm
we're gonna create a.
actually going to give myself a second tab with the instructions, just because it's a little hard to see
Oh,
both these. Oh,
I
can
can
you?
read them as well to you, Jess, and that way we're sort of like following along together.
Oh, that would be a gift.
Yeah, let's do
Um,
that. Oh,
so create a header element with a class set to here. I can do that.
Jess,
I
your
closed the
screen's no
wrong
longer.
one. I closed the wrong one, didn't I?
You're totally fine.
Everything's easy. Nothing's gonna hurt us.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll bring him back in. There we go.
nothing's wrong. So we're gonna create a header element. We're
Yep,
gonna set the
it's gonna
class
have a
is hero.
hero.
Is that a weird thing to call this, or is this just maybe a concept we haven't heard of yet?
It's a commonly used pattern, but we'll get to
Oh,
that when we get there. Let me. Oh yeah, so we're gonna create an image element inside of it with a
inside of it.
source
Okay.
set to that URL. So inside our header, img,
And I
we've got
know.
that.
That's very big.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
set our
know there's
alt.
alt text. Tell me there's alt text.
They don't mention it yet. Oh no, it's the
Oh,
free code camp logo.
free code camp logo, and the class is set to hero image. Oh, we got that hero again.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Free Code Camp or FCC?
Nope, Free Code
Free
Camp.
Code Camp.
So that's Free Code Camp logo. 2 words.
Oh, yes.
And then the class is hero img.
Here, image.
Now we're going to be doing something new, which is we're going to set the loading attribute to be lazy.
So, I personally think it should be optimized.
Yeah.
The loading is being set to late. What does that mean?
Yeah. So the way that pages load is that when we've got an image, it's going to load that image and then continue loading the rest of the page, right?
Yeah,
So as
okay.
we open an
Oh.
HTML file, it's showing all of the contents and stuff. Then when it gets to the image, it's like, hang on, everybody, the rest of the content, hold on a minute. I got to download this image and then show it.
So it's
If your
reading it
images are
top to bottom like CSS does.
Exactly. But of course, if your images are very large, or actually, I mean, all images are chunky, this is going to make the loading of your website kind of slow. So what you can do with this loading property is tell it, hey, start the loading, but do it in the background. Once it's ready, show it. In the meantime, I'm going to keep showing the rest of the page.
Okay, so this is just saying, hey, definitely load this if you can, if you've got time, if the user doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
But I'm just making a nice little H1 here. Nothing special, nothing creative.
Mhm.
And the class is
Hero title.
And we're going to make a P under it, a paragraph.
Yeah, we're going to make a paragraph. The class is hero subtitle.
Oh, that tracks.
And then the text you will want to copy paste.
I'm just going to. Our efforts to restructure our curriculum. Oh, I wonder who they're talking about. Okay, but this is it's a big image.
That is a very big image. I bet we're going to fix it in just a minute.
Oh, we've got that green stripe. Nothing's wrong. Our image currently takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Let's make it. Oh, wait. A width of 40%. Oh, but I'm going to hard code that. I'm going to set that in the image element in our CSS or in our HTML.
Exactly.
Chaos.
So images in HTML do allow you to set the specific width and height. So that's with the equal sign.
And that's I don't like it. I don't like it. Just 400.
400 what? Yeah.
I think by default it's pixels.
Correct.
Because
So there it is.
Like
and it does say we'll remove this later.
Yeah. Oh, we learned about that. What it's called when you write code and then you come back and you rewrite it to make it more efficient.
Is that refactoring?
It is. Do you know what? The learners were just like, it's refactoring.
Oh, cool.
You're going to ask me later. If you've got the money and you really want to donate, it's a lovely thing to do. After our header element, create a div with a class of author. Rad. Wait. Oh, right on this line. This is where they want me to be.
Yep. So the div with the class set to author. Cool. Close that. And then inside that, we're going to create a P element.
Okay. I don't have to put these on different lines, but I'm gonna. And the class here
is author-name.
Okay.
And the contents of that paragraph is just going to be by Free Code Camp.
Okay.
And that Free Code Camp is going to be a link.
It's a link. Aref equals. I could really technically end this on either side, but I like to end the link closer to where I started it.
Yeah.
Oh, and we want the target set on that as well.
Underscore blank.
Definitely knew that. Definitely didn't forget that.
I always forget.
Right? The ref, where we're going to throw that link.
And now we're going to add a second P element.
With the class of, and it's still inside our div, I think.
It is indeed.
I'm gonna use
So
this text,
that's
so I'm just gonna get that. I'm not gonna forget. I promise not to forget the class.
very good.
But I'm just gonna grab this just in case, just to reduce my ability to misspell things.
Perfect.
Ah, that worked the
Amazing.
first time. Nothing can hurt us. Except for we're gonna do CSS grid in a second. That could absolutely hurt us.
It's going to be great. Cool. So now we're going to be doing the refer HTTP header.
I'm gonna just type out what this says while you have to do the fun part of explaining it.
Yeah. So what we're going to be doing here is telling our link, hey, don't tell the next website where I came from.
Ooh, I like it. What? Why might you want to do that?
Yeah. So when you click on a link, usually what you're also telling the next website you go to, you're sending a piece of metadata called a header, not a header from HTML. This is like we talked a little bit about HTTP. Remember get and post, those methods in the form. That's an HTTP request, and those requests also contain a header with a bunch of data, and that data includes where you came from, what URL you click that link in.
Yeah.
So
I've just dropped the Wikipedia for
thank you.
HTTP, and this is the protocol that we sort of
Yeah,
use on the web to push information and back and forth.
that's a
It's
very
not
good way
the
to put it.
only one, but it's the only one we'll talk about right now. I always feel mean saying, "Oh, there's way more complicated stuff. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. It can't hurt us if we." It's like a little kid, like covering your eyes so you don't see ghosts.
I mean, oftentimes, there are things like this where I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe if I have more time later, I'll read up on it, but I know it's not going to slow me down in my learning journey.
So I'm going to be mean. I'm on step 9. And I
Yeah.
don't think we're learning things that the learners haven't done yet. I'm gonna
Oh,
skip
you
to
have
step
here.
10. So we're
Let's see. We got
making
awesome
a new
social
div,
icons.
and
Yeah.
then we're putting 5 links in that new div
Hmm.
that say these things.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna be mean. Although describing my meanness would have taken just as long.
But this one's going to be interesting because we're going to
Okay.
set inside each of those links, we're going to have an I element.
I like
So I, in
I
this case, is an icon.
an icon element. So within each of our link elements. Okay. Oh, so you mean usually where so this is the start. Line 44, we see the start of our link,
Yep.
and then we have it end, but we've got nothing in the anchor text, so it's not showing up.
Exactly.
You want me to use an I element and say
Yep.
fab fa dash Facebook dash f.
Exactly.
So we haven't done an I element yet, have we?
No, we haven't. What is
Just
an I element?
okay. I can see that the formatting, the colors it's giving me, so it's dark red, light red. It looks like this is working, maybe?
Oh, no, no, no. That's the class, Jess.
Oh,
Fab FA Twitter should be the class.
oh, it's a class.
Yes. So in case y'all are curious,
Whew.
the I element is an idiomatic text element. And it's meant to be used for things like technical terms, taxonomical designations, amongst others. But it's
No,
also used
no.
for
What's a taxonom no. No, you can't just make up words. It's illegal.
I wi
It's immoral.
well, hey, look at that. The Facebook icon showed up. I wanna ask the learners, why do we think like that where do we get that icon from? Because we just put a class in there. What's up?
Nothing. I
Mhm,
think I know. I think that when we first looked through the page and that the first couple of ones, the boilerplate we didn't do, I
mhm.
think there was something way up at the top of our HTML that gave us a clue. I love what a bad poker player you are. You're just like,
Shall we scroll up and have a look?
"Yeah, we're in our HTML." Do I is the I element self-closing? Do I need this?
I think it is not self-closing,
Oh,
so you do need the closing tag.
so it
But
comes
yeah,
all the way up. Oh, Nikita makes a really good point. From another computer on the web, We had a specified link. What kind? What kind of resource were we linking up there?
It was a style sheet.
A style sheet. So we're and then Eric also got us as well. And Eric is like, hey, we're getting this
There
from
we go.
Font Awesome. This is another resource. This is kind of like when we did Google Fonts,
Yep,
but
exactly.
this is icons.
Correct. These are icon fonts.
Now that I've seen how to do them, I'm going to do them really, really fast. Oh. I'm going to do them even faster because I
Nice.
think I can guess the syntax.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, there's
I
no
don't.
F at the end. Yeah.
It was worth a like as a deeply, deeply efficient person. I think that was worth a shot.
Oh, I think it was absolutely worth a shot. So that one's Instagram.
Hey, so it's gonna be LinkedIn. Is it like
This one's LinkedIn
LinkedIn
in.
in? Weird.
And the last one's YouTube.
There were. Oh,
They're different ones, yeah.
there's two different ones.
I think the in here stands for inverted, not the in from LinkedIn.
Not the ink from. And the last one
YouTube.
was YouTube. Oh, Starlight's pointing out that HTML used to have an I element that did different stuff. This is the is the I the old italics, like the new M?
Actually, reading the rest of this article, it says historically, these have been presented using italicized type, which is the original source of the I naming in this element. So it went from italicized to idiomatic.
Ah. I bet if we looked it up, we would see a bunch of arguments online about how that happened. Below our heading, create a new section, class to text, create a P element with class to first paragraph.
Cool.
Okay.
So at the bottom of that, we can copy paste that all of that text, and we can. You want a
Not yet.
section with the class set to text.
Oh, heck.
Oh, can we take a second to answer Mitch's question?
Yeah. You chat to Mitch. I'm doing just
You got it.
plain old
So
boring
Mitch is
stuff.
saying, I don't understand how adding a class to an element creates an icon on the page. I thought classes were only identifiers. I know this is how it works from the website, but it's still confusing. Absolutely. One part that I was unclear about, and I apologize, is that font awesome CSS file that we downloaded. If you open it up, let me copy it and paste it into the chat because I don't think we're doing anything wrong by doing that. Take a look at. Go ahead and open.
Do you want? You can share your screen and look at that file if you want.
Okay, cool.
I can't stop you. And Mitch, this is such a good question. Like this is a good thing to dive into.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make another P element. It's going to be very boring.
Let me stress that out a little. So in the first couple steps, Mitch, we linked this file here. Rel style sheet, HTTPS use fontawesome.com releases all.css. If you open that, I'm going to open it up here. What you get, well, it's quite small. Let me make it larger. What you get is an enormous what you get is an enormous piece of CSS. This is all CSS. The reason it looks so gnarly is because it's compressed. That is, there's no spaces, there's no enters, so that the file is as small as possible.
It's not very human readable.
It is not very human readable. But here we're declaring, actually, let me look up one of the classes. So it's FA-Facebook-F. Check it out. So here it uses that special font that it's downloaded to display that icon. So it's using the pseudo element before to show that icon. If we go back, if I remove this, and if I go back to this and I remove Font Awesome, the icons aren't going to work anymore because the font's not there anymore. Sorry, not the font. The CSS is not there anymore. So what those classes are doing is saying, hey, apply them to this. And that's how it works. That's me rambling. All done. I'm gonna pass it back to you, Jess.
Not at all. So you might notice that I skipped ahead to step 14, and that's because the 2 steps in the middle were just add an extra paragraph, and copy this text in.
Oh, perfect. So after that,
Sorry,
we're gonna
y'all are
add a new one.
competing with my worst cat for my attention. Let's come in.
Oh,
And we're gonna make a block quote element. Have we done this yet?
I don't think we've done block quotes yet. I'm excited. So we're gonna use the block quote element. Let me look it up here on MDN real quick while you type it out. So the block quotation element indicates that the enclosed text is an extended quote. So this is just an HTML way of showing a quotation. That is a quote, like a quote from somebody on. Well, what are we doing here?
Oh, it
The
looks
entire.
like by default,
Mm-hmm.
it's applied some default styling to that block quote that sets it apart.
Indeed.
Um, oh, I need 2 HR elements in my block quote?
Yes, an HR element, and then a P element with a class set to quote, and then a second. Oh,
Oh.
so the block quote should not have that class. Exactly.
Ha, 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 ha.
Nice. Don't forget to close it.
I got you, I got you. Although, I should point out, I can leave that P unclosed and it will technically work.
Yeah.
It won't work well. It won't be
It's always
best
a good idea.
practices,
Yeah.
but HTML is really fault tolerant. What does that mean?
Ooh. Are we asking the learners or me?
Oh, either.
Please.
Oh, HR is that little bar. I like it, I like it.
Yeah. And then we've got another HR after RP.
Oh, that's
Cool.
very noble looking.
Oh, there we go.
Cool. I'm just gonna do another paragraph while you explain fault tolerance.
Cool. So fault tolerance in this case means that the HTML, the browser, is going to try its best to make the code you have work. Look what Nikita's already saying it much better than me. Resistance to one or more of its components' failures. Perfect.
And generally, at least in my case, the failures are usually me. So one more P element. So y'all can just keep chatting. I'm just doing a
Exactly.
nice
So even if you forget to close some tags, the browser still it's really rooting for your website to work. So it's like, I'm just going to try to make this work as best as possible.
one more P element. So it sounds like the idea of fault tolerance is saying, hey, I'm gonna try and read what you've written. I'm gonna try and render what you've written. And if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make total sense, I'm gonna try and guess what you wanted.
Perfect.
Everything's fine. Okay, below our text element, before our section with the text class, we're gonna make a new section with a class of text and
Text
so
with
is that
images.
one very, very long class or 2 classes?
Those are 2 classes
How do you know?
because they're separated by a space. Because classes do not have spaces in them.
That tracks.
So within that section, we'll create an article.
Why are we using section and article? Why couldn't we just put these in divs?
Because these are semantic elements. And
Yeah,
especially
but
this goes especially well with a magazine, because a lot of the time what you can do with a magazine, for example, is put it into reader mode. And the more of these you use, the better a job your reader mode on your browser is going to do of understanding which piece of text corresponds well.
okay, so
the article is brief history. Yeah. And Eric puts it really well too. Good for screen reader as well.
An aside element.
Ooh, what's an aside? Aside, again, let's look it up on MDN. It's also it's a semantic element, and it is what it says on the tin. It's some good information that's aside, like an FYI, you know. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that looks good.
H3, I can do this. Oh, why is it an H3? Is it because it's an H3 because I want it to be smaller than my H1?
Correct. But, well, in
Mm-mm,
part, in
mm-mm.
part, in part, in part. I mean, H3s happen to be smaller than your H1, and that is
By
true
default.
by default. But you want these to be H3s because you want these to be semantically correct. That is, the H1 is the title of your document. H2 are going to be subtitles, and H3s are going to be subtitles. And these are used to like label different sections, or in this case, articles.
I'm just being mean because I never get to be right.
Oh, Eric puts it really well. A site is for some extra information that's not really a main part of the article, I think. And that is exactly correct. I agree 100%. Ooh, Nikita's saying, if you open some websites, especially built in a web constructor, it all looks like divs, divs, divs. Does that mean that semantics were sacrificed for convenience? You're absolutely right.
I was going to say, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be unkind, but yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to pick on anybody. We're not going to say developers did a bad job. We're going to strongly imply it. So we're going to come. Wait, we're not going to come down. What am I talking about?
No, we're going to move on to the next one.
Okay, we're going to create 6 list elements. Wait,
Mhm.
so 6 list elements, then an H4. The H4 has a class. You're going to have to read this to me.
Yep, you're totally fine. So we're going to have in our UL, on our unordered list, we're going to have
Oh, each list item has an H1
an H4.
and it, yes, sorry.
You're fine.
Each list element will have first a H4
Yep,
segment and then a P segment.
correct.
But it looks like, based on this, that the colon isn't in the H4 or the P. Let's just try and see if that works. And if it doesn't, that's going to be chill. So, how many of we need 4 of them? Y'all know how I'm going to do this, right?
It better involve some copy pasting.
Right, right. Like, I'm only going to be on this earth so long. And I know I am not going to spend my limited time typing every single bit of this out by hand. Oh, I'm going to even cheat. I'm going to go maximally efficient. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I'm even going to put the colon in there.
Very good. The H4's class is list subtitle.
Oh. With a hyphen?
Yep.
Does a P have a class?
The P does not have a class.
Let's copy these over and see how they start looking. So V124. Do you know how old I am? I remember when they launched back in the. We want to put this inside the H4.
Correct.
Okay. Wait, can we
That
get
looks
that?
good.
Do you know what the founder? I hate to sound like I'm name dropping, but you've gotten a tattoo the founder Quincy, who founded Free Code Camp.
What a lovely fellow.
Well, that's just a. I know what we got to do. I think I might know.
I bet we're gonna fix it with CSS.
Oh heck! I was going to do this the lazy way, and then I decided to make things difficult for myself. Let's just get myself the structure. So
Mm-hmm.
I've got the classes. I'm going to copy and paste this. 1, 2. So I've got 4 of those. Okay.
Is it fourth? There's 6 in total.
No, that's too many. Is it 6?
Yeah.
Or I could skip to step 21. So I've done one of these. Look at this. This without you to babysit. This is just what I did the whole time to be like, you get the gist. So we've done one of these and we've copied and pasted to show the weave. You're implicated now. And what we see is that we've got these all on different lines. And
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead to step 21 just because I don't think it's a good use of y'all's time to see me like frown at formatting. Within my aside, 2 image elements, a block quote, and a 3rd image element.
Cool. And they don't have any contents. We're just going to put, yep. Perfect.
Okay, so
2 images, so you can copy paste that line.
and then a block quote.
Yep.
And then another image.
Correct.
I am not messing about with being lazy.
Mm-hmm. The class is image-quote.
Fantastic. Everything's fine. Within the image wrapper element, give my, so I'm just going to assign this. And if step 23 and 24 are the same, we might skip those to be cruel. Looks like I've typed something wrong. Has that worked? No, that's not a problem.
So within the image wrapper element, give your first one an src of that URL. What happened?
Oh, I think it just put my second quote on the wrong line. That's not a big problem.
I love this, Nikita. We'll elaborate on it. So there we go.
Oh, yes. Do you know what? Can you, while I'm doing this boring stuff, Bruce gave our boot camp a talk last year, and it's mostly about how like built-in beats bolt on Bigly. Hang on.
Yep, I got it.
So I'm just going to do this boring copy and paste while y'all get to chat a bit and get that link. I just boss you around nonstop when we pair program, huh?
You are nothing but a delight. Wait, I've got his. Sorry, Bruce gave the one on how Timbo made the internet. Is that the one you meant?
How Timbo made loveliness, HTML. Wait.
Yep. Let me drop that link in here so that you all can check it out. This is a fantastic presentation.
Let's get to 600 pixels. We don't say default. Where am I? Who am I? Who are we? And a height.
There we go.
I have to say, I'm not great at CSS, but I don't love how I don't like all of this in my HTML. It's hard to keep straight in my head.
So what are we doing here? We've set up this image. It loads lazily. We remember what that does now. It says, hey, while I'm loading, keep displaying the rest of the web page. I'll be right back and all. Oh, can you show me the error again?
Yeah, I think it's just that there was a space. There was an extra space after my link.
Nice.
Come on, Bubba. Oh, give me just a second. Is there any way I could abandon you for a whole second?
Here, let me
and
take
let
over from step 23.
Yeah, if that's just a whole second. I just have a tiny household emergency, and it's not a real emergency.
Oh, that's a relief. I'll take over for just a minute. Hello. Okay, so we'll carry on from where we were. So we will have our image wrapper element. And okay, we're going to give our second image element this source, this alt of image of a calculator project, and the loading attribute set to lazy, class set to image2, a width set to 400, and a height set to 400. Okay, we've got a lot here. There's this way of working that I like to call, divide and conquer. Just break it down into smaller tasks. So we've got source, then we got alt, then we've got loading equals, well, I already know this is lazy, and our height is 400, and our width is 400. Cool. Source, alt, loading, height, and width. I think I got everything. So now I'm just going to give myself a little bit more space here. Sorry. Yeah, let's grab this URL. And I'm just going to come down here. Perfect. Alt is image of a calculator project. Done. And now, by the way, another thing I didn't mention about loading lazy that's really fascinating. When this page gets displayed, if loading is set to lazy, those images are not going to load or download from the internet until I scroll down. You can't see it because my internet is probably going to be faster, but you might have seen there for a second that it took a second to show the image. Watch. Yeah, that's where the laziness comes in. But hey, there's our image. So that's all displaying just fine. Cool. We got 2 images. We'll move on to the next one. Does it work? It does not. I forgot the class. Oh dear. Class is set to image-2. Of course, that's not going to change anything because all we've done is set a class. There we go. All better. Let's keep going. All right. Okay, we're going to do the third image now. Same thing as before. I'm going to go ahead and copy this in advance and go right here. So let's do source. Also, I don't know if you remember this, but the order in which you put these in doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do the alt next for people working on code. Loading set to lazy. Class set to image-3. Width set to 600. And height set to 400.
Thank you so much for your incredible patience.
Not at all. Welcome back. So there it is. Alt done, loading done, class done, height done, width done. If I check my
We've done
code,
a lot, and we haven't even gotten to the hard part yet. I mean, some of this has been a little hard.
Do you want to hop back in, Jess, or shall I?
No, I'll be the bossy mean one, if that's okay.
Absolutely fine. So what am I doing next?
Do you know what? I think we might go ahead and do you want to skip this one? So we're this is a P element with an HR in it and copying this text over. We've done this. We're going to skip to step 25 just to make sure that some of y'all get the muscle memory practice. Look at that. Mean to the
CSS time.
Beloved, fantastic, incomparable learners. What's that star called?
Ooh.
Yeah. And what did we learn about these what pseudo element was really, really important in CSS for declaring our variables? It's asking like 2 back-to-back hard questions. Yeah. So Sean's right in here, right from the gate, says that star is the universal selector. That says, boom, give me these rules for everything. But these pseudo selectors say the stuff before and the stuff after everything?
Yep. Pretty much.
Okay.
So, hello. So we've got the star, we've got all the before elements, all of the after elements. We're saying remove the padding, remove the margin, make the box sizing border box. So I'm going to go ahead and check our code, and that looks solid. Next. Oh, we're going to set this default font size. Sorry.
Okay, because like our default font size is usually if we don't set one, the font size is decided by the browser.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
And if
usually
you're thinking,
16.
when did we learn that? We definitely didn't learn that. That's just something I've pulled out of my brain. 62.5% of
16?
Oh, so the browser default is 16. 62.5% is
10.
10. Me
So
with a
this is
calculator.
kind of
Me
the
with a
same as saying
calculator.
this is kind of the same as saying 10 pixels,
But with extra math or
but with
maths.
extra math. So that looks good. We'll keep going. Cool. Ooh, we're gonna set our font family.
To Baskerville. It's a very evocative font name. And with a fallback, remember that this is a backup font. So we used backup colors when we did our buildings yesterday.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is just like and alt text is a kind of backup, a fallback.
I like that.
Ooh. So this is just saying, "Hey, I want this, but if I can't have it, give me a serif font instead."
Cool.
This is looking very 90s. Font family of Baskerville with a fallback of serif. Is there no comma maybe?
Nope, I can't spell.
Oh, yeah,
It's
but
Baskerville with
2
2
V's
V's.
seems wild. 2 V's seems
Oh, there
out
it
of
is.
pocket. No.
Thank you, Eric.
I like Eric's absolutely right that is basketball with 2 V's. I on a deep and emotional level reject that.
But did you see what happened? I tried to put a font that doesn't exist. It's like, well, it doesn't exist. I'll just go to the backup.
Mm.
When I put in the correct font, it was like, oh, cool. I have that. Let's use it.
Boom. Everything's fine.
Wonderful.
Cool.
We're just going to click on Ask Me Later.
H1. I love all these name ones. Font family sent to Anton, and then it was with a comma. And sans serifa, we don't have it.
There we
That's gonna
go.
be just fine. Oh, everything's easy.
Ooh, what are we targeting here?
Oh gosh. So this is saying I want to set these rules for all of the H2s, all of the H3s, all of the H4. We don't have any H4s. So this is me saying, hey, this is you saying you're doing the hard work. This is saying, hey, all of the headings except for H1 apply these rules.
Where could we see that? Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's quite nice. Oh, Mitch, that's a super good question. And we're definitely going to, should we come back to, we're going
Oh,
to start
sorry.
doing question and answer in just a couple minutes. So if
Yep.
anybody else has any more questions, go ahead and start chucking them in the chat and we'll get to them in just a whole hot second. Select. So this is going to be for all of our links.
Text decoration set to none. What does that do?
What does that do? Let me go get it.
So the text decoration, look at the difference on the link there, Free Code Camp. First it was underlined because by default,
Oh,
links are underlined.
do you know what?
When
Well, even without
yeah,
looking this up, we can extrapolate that the default text decoration applied to a link is
mhm,
underlining. And that
correct.
we set text decoration done, we got rid of that default decoration. I'm still gonna go
Fantastic.
get the MDN for text decoration because
Oh yeah, please.
I wanna see
Oh,
what
I don't love this right now.
do you not love
Oh
it?
yeah.
It's
Well,
kind of
good
besquiggled,
point.
isn't it? There's a lot going on.
Yeah, no, so Mitch, you're saying it's easier to see the text underline text
Can we make it
decoration.
really big first?
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah. Can we like, oh, no, can we just, like, bump up the text size for links so we can see it really well? Font size.
There we go.
Okay. So now when we comment that out. Okay. I'm gonna be honest,
Hello. Yeah.
I don't love it. So, it being the same color as the text and having no underline,
Yeah,
I think it's gonna fade in to the rest of stuff.
it is. Check it out. Like I can't tell what's like if I remove the font size, I can't tell what's a link and what's not anymore. And I bet we're gonna fix
Mm,
that in a minute.
I bet.
I hope.
Oh,
It's
wow.
your
Okay.
time.
So we're just going to do 1 or 2 of these steps, and then we're going to come back and do the hard part tomorrow. So our main selector, everything on the main part of our page, which includes our body, we're going to set the display to grid. Okay.
So to remember, main encompasses everything.
Yeah.
So main is now one big grid. So we're not going to see a difference yet,
No,
which is
because
okay.
it's like setting the display to flex, except
Mhm.
flex automatically tries to flex all the children, and grid isn't going to do anything until we give it more. Okay. Yeah, let's go through this step and one more. Let's just talk through this through conceptually,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back and look at it together and do it in. So we'll talk about it now, and we'll
Yeah.
try this,
Yeah.
and then we'll come back and do this again tomorrow, where we look at it in more detail. Because the concept here is wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to Flexbox. So it's used for arranging things, right? Like a magazine tends to be arranged in like conceptual grids.
Yeah, but like Flexbox makes sense to me conceptually. Like you
Mhm.
squish the boxes in an order.
Yeah.
Like box model? Yeah, squish, squish. Flexbox? Squish the boxes in a specific order? Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, we have to sort of draw grids in our mind to draw them
Mm,
on the page.
yeah.
It's hard. I think it's hard.
So what we're going to be doing with this is setting it to have a layout of 3 columns.
So,
And that's done
3.
with the
Okay.
property grid template columns. And then we're going
And
to apply this here.
so let's look
FR
at 1FR
94 REM.
94 RAM. So
Mm,
RAM being in here suggests that the other 2 things are measurements.
Yep. And
But
FR
FR is
here stands
please.
sorry, FR here stands for fraction.
Oh. Oh, wait. Is what we're saying here, I've got 3 grids.
Mhm.
The one in the middle is
No, we have
94
1
rem.
grid. Sorry.
Or we have 1 grid with 3
Yeah.
columns.
Yeah.
I want the column in the middle to be 94 rem,
Yeah.
and then I want the ones on the ends to each take up 1 equal share of the remaining space.
Correct.
Chaos.
But here's the thing. What are we dividing here? What are these 3 columns made up of? That is where we go back to our here, and each immediate child of main is going to correspond to 1 column. And the way we've arranged this
Is it's
section
a section.
yeah. So
So
each section is 1 column. Sorry.
if you pull your preview a little wider, does it change it at all?
That's where they went. So this one is as big as 1 fraction slash needs to be. However, it's chunky because the image is chunky.
Oh.
This one here is 94 REM. No compromising. I am 94 REM. You cannot tell me to be otherwise. And this one is also 1 fraction. However, it's a bigger than 1 fraction because the images take up space.
Okay, so this is what I find so hard about CSS Grid is you have to sort of conceptually build this out, and you
Yeah,
have to have an idea of where you want these things to sit and create sections or if you must, divs. You kind of have to plan the structure for what's going to sit in these different columns.
exactly.
So, when you have a parent, it's gonna need children that correspond to the columns generally for CSS Grid.
Correct. Let's check our code. Jess, I don't know about you, but I kind of want to not give homework today.
Okay, no, let's not give homework today. CSS Grid is hard.
Let's pick up tomorrow right from step 34.
Yeah, and do you know what? Keep saying CSS grid is hard. I'd love if you could take a look at. I no, I lied. I'm going to give a little tiny bit of homework.
Mhm. I'm also gonna give out an article from CSS Tricks about grid. That's very helpful.
Amazing. So I'm going to give the.
I think there's a game as well, right?
I don't know.
Could be wrong. Oh, I got a question from Sean. I definitely want to answer that.
Okay, so I'm going to grab.
CSS grid game. I know there was a
Grab
game.
the grid light.
This.
So please take a look at one of these resources of your choice and just have a little look, a little read. If it's really confusing and weird, chill. It can't hurt you. Oh, this is going to be so cute. Actually, I lied. You don't have to look at whatever you want. Um, your homework is going to be to have a look at this game if you have a moment, because this looks
CSS.
like the most peaceful.
You might remember Flexbox Froggy. This one's very similar. This one's for learning CSS grid. Super, super helpful.
Very vibe aligned.
So yeah, tomorrow we'll start from step 34, but let's do some questions.
Yeah, because we had a couple of really, really laid back, really good questions. Oh,
This one's from Nikita. People ask me, what's the EM again? That's emphasis.
emphasis.
Why I bother learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, including clients, if there are web constructors available? Can we elaborate this at the end of the class?
Yeah. So this is an opinion-based one.
Yep. Love an
Um,
opinion.
love it. Love an opinion. Um, and I'd say that learning the foundational elements, learning the foundational structures that let you build websites independent of website builders gives you a lot more power and gives you a lot more flexibility. But a lot of times, when you're using these constructors, you'll wind up with something that maybe isn't very accessible or that just doesn't use best practices and leaves you in a position where it's difficult to maintain. Oh, and one other thing that's really exciting is web constructors and even frameworks, which are sort of like little constructors that live on top of programming languages. They're like not full drag and drop, but they're like training wheels. I
Love
like you
it.
making that face because that's not the way I'd say it at a tech conference where you're like, yeah, it's all right.
No, it's
So
great.
constructors fall in and out of fashion. Frameworks fall in and out of fashion. HTML is still going to be here in 10 years. CSS is
Yeah.
still going to be here in 10 years. There's some absolutely ridiculous. There's a bunch of like CSS frameworks that just make the weirdest CSS. And I think about coming back to these after this framework isn't popular anymore and trying to get someone to maintain it. And you're just going to have to rewrite it. And so it gives you more power to do more flexible and interesting things. It gives you the conceptual knowledge to know what's possible and what's not. And it's also not going to go out of fashion next year.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Oh, I got this one from Mitch. I noticed that in the last 3 steps, we use 3 different selectors that all apply to all visual content on the page. The star, HTML, and body. I believe they apply to the entire page. Why was it done that way? I'm going to be a little bit annoying, Mitch, and I'm very sorry. Star does not apply to the entire page. We need to be very, very like
I think
annoying
I
and
might have said that it
specific.
does the other day. I think I might have said that today.
No, you didn't.
I
So
did in my heart.
the star does not apply to the whole page. Star applies to every single element in the page,
Ah.
and that we need to be very distinct. Like we need to make that distinction. So when we use star and we apply that border box sizing, we want to say, hey, every single element on this page needs to come with a border box. And the reason we're doing this is because some HTML elements have some default styling, which answers the second part. Why are we sometimes doing HTML and why are we sometimes doing body? And it's the same thing. Many browsers will give default values within body, like the margin and the padding. That's why we want to apply some to the body. If we want to go higher than that, we'll go to HTML. Sorry, I kind of talked over you, Jess.
No. A, super interesting and delight. And B, very, very correct. I've got one last one from Sean. Is it a matter of personal choice when you use Flexbox or Grid or Box Model? Or are there specific use cases where one's more appropriate than the other? I'd say both. Like, sometimes it's just a personal choice, and sometimes there can be use cases that make more sense. Like, if you're
Yeah.
building something that feels really columny or that's laid out like a grid. Nope, that's fine. It's just glass breaking from the kitchen. It's very
Jess,
fine.
go take care of it. I'll
Ooh, do you know what? Because we're only a couple 100 miles away. You're about to hear the yelling I'm about to do. Pardon me, everyone.
um I'll go ahead and finish this. Sean, it's there is a there is a distinction to be made here. And one way that I like to think about it, and I'm about to contradict myself, but hear me out. Flexbox was inherently designed to be used in one dimension. It's a box that is flexible either in a row or in a column. The reason it seems gritty, like grid-like, is because if you overflow, it does go to the next row or column. And I would say that's the most important long and short of it. If you want to have stuff that goes in one dimension, you want to use a flex box. If it goes into like a second row or a second column or a third one or a fourth one, doesn't matter, go with Flexbox. But if you want like really precise control over a grid, over a two-dimensional set of data or of elements, go with grid. Because grid lets you do some really spectacular stuff. But that's the way I like to think of it. One-dimensional data. I love what you're saying here. Grid is relieving for control freaks too. We can all have a control freak morning once in a while. That's when you want to have that precise control over over a grid, over two-dimensional space. Okay, that's all the questions answered. If there are no others, thank you all for joining. I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow if I'm sure everyone's fine. However, tomorrow we'll start from step 34 and we'll go as far as we can. We'll do some homework. And then on Friday, we'll do our next certification project. So don't miss that. So as always, if you want to catch more of these, you can catch them here on the YouTube channel. Everything is recorded. Everything stays recorded. So don't worry. youtube.com/@badwebsiteclub. It's been a joy to be here with you today. And I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.